The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Crime News Talk.
You are listening to Canary Crime News Talk. Today is September 29th, 2025. We are live to tape on episode 880. And today, Bad Theology. And signing on from off the grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy Basil, and you are not crazy.
And my name is Gonz, at Face Like the Sun, director of the Age of Deceit films, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, live to tape from the metaverse to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And first off, today is Monday.
Gary, what day is it? Ow, Monday.
And today is also it's National Coffee Day.
Just
National Coffee Day. Well,
Not
International Coffee Day.
Not recognized by the UN. This is just for America.
This is just for America, but 2 days later, the world catches up. October 1st is recognized around the world as International Coffee Day. So it's a big coffee week.
America had to have their own coffee day. We got
front
stuff
run
going on. Well, 2 days, I guess that would make it, what, September 30th? Or 31st? Is there a September 31st, or is that October 1st?
No, it's October 1st, which is in 2 days.
1st.
Yes, there's
Okay,
30 days in September. Yeah.
Wow. Very exciting.
this.
Very exciting. And a great time to recommend that everybody go to CageRattlerCoffee.com. You knew it was coming.
Cage Rattler Coffee. Yes.
You didn't have the jingle lined up, huh? There it is.
No, it's ready. It's
Cage Rattler Coffee, where value for value never tasted so good.
Okay, you know what? I'm double checking. Yep, I think we do. Go to CageRattlerCoffee.com. This is coffee roasted by Canarians for Canarians. This is, some people have some trouble with the value for value thing, as is evident by the 3 producers for this show. Well, that's because everybody should be going to CageRattlerCoffee.com. We got the best beans in the business, baby. And that's what it means to be a value for value producer here on the show. From what I am told, they are running a special, a coffee day special. And I'm trying desperately to find it. Here it is.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, that's
it's
not
on the
it.
screen. Look at the screen. That's a good spot.
Coffee day. Yes, it's they're doing a discount special, and all you got to do is put in the code Coffee Day at the end there. You know how to not Covfefe Day, Coffee Day, and get a nice discount on your Cage Rattler coffee. A portion, of course, of every sale comes to support the show. So you're producing the show and getting your coffee. We have now fully transitioned my entire coffee regimen over to Cage Rattler Coffee, and I've never been so happy or fulfilled or whatever. And so that could be you. We got beans coming all over the place. Go check them out. You got the Nephilim Hunter Dark Roast, the Emu Wrangler Medium Roast. We got beans from all over the world, baby. It's all small batch. It's all high quality. Go get it. And a happy coffee day to everybody.
Yep. There's some coffee for you. All right. Are
There's
we jumping right in?
For you.
There's some coffee. Are we jumping right in? What are we doing?
Yeah, we should probably jump right in. I don't have any other announcements to make beforehand, so let's do it. We have, of course, some of the big stories that are going on around the world. Unfortunately, sort of exhaustingly, we do have to mention the Michigan church shooting. You got a jingle for that, sucker?
I do.
If you want to protect yourself, get a double-barrel shotgun. Gun violence in this country is an epidemic. Watch out! He's got a gun! He's going to steal your banana!
This is, I think everybody can kind of feel it's very interesting. While this is being reported around the mainstream, it's certainly not is not pulling in as much attention as, of course, like a Charlie Kirk or the ICE shooting, although it is fairly disturbing in the way that it played out. Very strange. Here at NBCnews.com, what we know about the Michigan church shooting and fire that killed 4 people. Says here, 4 people were killed and several others wounded Sunday when the authorities say a man opened fire at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc Township, Michigan, and set it ablaze in what a federal official called an act of targeted violence. You know, this phrase is interesting because we have the mainstream. One complaint about the mainstream recently has been the avoidance of the phrase terrorism, preferring to call it an act of targeted violence. Now, while those definitionally are not the exact same thing, people are kind of wincing at the replacement. But, you know, there's so little we know about this one. It says at least 2 of the 4 victims were fatally shot, police said. 8 people were wounded, with 1 in critical condition and 7 who were stabilized, Township Police Chief Bill Rainey said. Authorities are still searching through the debris of the church, but said everyone is accounted for as of Monday morning. The suspect, Thomas Jacob Sanford, a 40-year-old former Marine, was killed by law enforcement. This is also a story that keeps changing. Here's what we know so far. And just give you some basic details here. On 10:25 a.m. Sunday, a gunman drove a vehicle into the church, got out, opened fire with an assault rifle. There's that phrase again, Rainey said. The first officers arrived within 30 seconds of initial reports, and law enforcement killed the shooter in the church's rear parking lot 8 minutes after the first reports, he said. Authorities believe the shooter was able to spark a fire that eventually enveloped the church before it was contained. 8 people were treated at Henry Ford Genesis Hospital on Sunday. 2 remain in critical condition the following day. Now, there is the sort of psyop phase of this started almost instantly. When I was seeing reports about how he had IEDs attached to his truck and that blew up and started the fire. Of course, once the guy's identification was made, that's fun. There we go. They, he's a 42-year-old ex-Marine. Photoshopped pictures of him started instantly flowing around with Trump shirts on, which of course that went through the debunking process. I've heard both, he was a Trump supporter and had pro-Trump signs in his yard, to, he was not a Trump supporter and he had anti-Trump signs in his yard, which I guess technically both things could be true. But overall, a horrific event. Yeah, even on the NBC News, if you click the link on his name at the top of this article, it switches over to an NBC News article digging into this fella. About halfway down, it shows a picture of him maybe at a lake wearing a camouflage shirt with Trump 2020 on it. This is allegedly the photoshopped picture being included in NBC. You can kind of tell on the corner of the woman's face next to him, the sort of Photoshop job there. People are running this through AI. People are doing the whole thing.
The piece, the Trump shirt sticks out. It's like he stitched it on there, or like pinned it on there on his regular shirt. That's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah,
it's super fake.
It looks weird. Yeah, I don't know. But who knows? Maybe this was photoshopped is the psyop. It's just all over the place. So far, the mainstream media has not jumped to conclusions on the motive of this sort of thing. But we'll see how that goes. Is there anything you wanted to bring up about this or heard about this?
Yeah.
Or
Well, not any specifics, because it's a little, again, if the goal is to tire us out and really, mentally fatigue us, it's working, because I don't have the bandwidth to continue to look at this type of stuff. But I think looking at the reaction from some loud voices is something to keep track of here. This is Benny Johnson. He's the only one amongst the ones that are all openly like CIA and all this stuff, the new sort of celebrities of Altimedia, who doesn't have like an open paper trail to anything like that. Although, I haven't done a huge deep digging or anything like that. I don't think that's really worth my time, but he's up there. He's loud and he's very popular now. He said if a mosque was shot up every month, it would be a crisis for Muslims. If a synagogue was shot up every month, it would be a crisis for Jews. If a temple was shot up every month, it would be a crisis for Hindus. Christians, this is happening to us. Christian churches are being violently targeted at an exponential rate. Christianity is the most persecuted religion on earth. Nothing else even comes close. Christianity is under attack. Time to get serious about it. Have we not been serious about this?
Yeah, I don't really know.
Is it like right now is the time because of the Latter-day Saints shooting? And he posted this as a response to the, timing wise, a response to the LDS shooting news.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where, again, you look at the op side of things and it's more about the social reaction, how people are reacting to these situations time and time again. I think what we've learned is that human nature doesn't change a whole lot. People will get rounded up into things in a similar fashion throughout history, and there aren't as many people who are at least thinking about it critically, at least enough, it seems like. And not that we're not susceptible. You and I are, Basil, we have, we wake up every morning, we're, dreading certain things, but it's, I don't know. It seems like this particular one, the shooting at the Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc Township. I don't know, maybe socially experimenting with how much people can handle. And also, the LSD, LSD, LDS, the Latter-day Saints, they're doctrinally very separated from your more orthodox view of Christianity and the Bible and the authority of the scriptures and things like that. They add a whole bunch of stuff. So that's on the theological side of things. So I find it fascinating that culturally in this time here, through something like a mass shooting, they are sort of leveling the field when it comes to, because those things don't matter when it comes to this stuff. We don't want any churches being shot up. But again, to paint this picture that all Christians are being attacked, doesn't matter if you have some extra doctrine floating on top of everything. It seems that
it's obviously horrendous. It's horrible. The church is totally burned down. It was a total loss. As part of the again, sort of the narrative, there are pictures of the truck that allegedly blasted through the front door there, and it's got two giant American flags sticking up on flagpoles out of the truck. He's got his Marine Corps sticker. He's got his veteran license plate. This also brings up a big topic that is the victims of America's overseas war, which include the veterans who survived and made it back. And
he's very much the alleged, the profile on the shooter, as far as I saw, was very much he was an ex-Marine and tied to pretty valiant, or at least some pretty good not credentials. What are they? Achievements, at least militarily.
I don't know. I didn't see. Point is, this is horrible, especially when it comes to the timing of this. Some are calling it Bloody September now, which in the broader conversation about like civil war and civil strife and things like this, to actually kind of come up with a marketing name for this September, that's like preloading the history books, basically. For how this period of time will be sort of remembered or narrativized in the future. So, of course, keeping that entire community in our prayers, the victims, of course, is horrible. And this, again, multiple conflicting stories about how this actually ended. Some stories that he went ahead and ended it himself. Of course, the NBC story here that the police showed up and did so. But so far, not a whole lot of postulating about the motive, which actually, in the context of the past, 4 horrible events that have happened in September or more, where jumping to motive, it doesn't matter who you are, jumping to motive has been the sort of immediate reaction. It'll be interesting to see, right? It'll be interesting to see what rolls out on this one in the future.
Yeah, the NBC article did mention that he was awarded the Marine Corps Good Conduct Medal, the Sea Service Deployment Ribbon, the Iraq Campaign Medal, the Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, and the National Defense Service Medal. So
interesting. Yeah,
not a no one, when it comes to this stuff.
So we'll be keeping an eye on that as details roll out. At the same time, we have another looming catastrophe, Gons, one that always seems to pop up right at the exact right moment, and that is a government shutdown, baby. Uh-oh.
Are we building back better?
Yes, we've got another one of these. They happen about every 2 years or something.
Oh, this one's different. This one's different, Basil. This time it's going to be different.
Yeah, that's very funny. There's almost nothing to report about it except for, Democrats, Republicans can't agree on a budget, and so there's a looming deadline. I believe it's either September 30th, October 1st, rather. And at the same time, there's been a very interesting story that the mainstream has been sort of connecting to this. And this sort of, whenever a government shutdown is coming, there's always lots of hullabaloo. An interesting connection between the government shutdown and the repeated conversation around veterans affairs, because of course at least the narrative around government shutdown is government shuts down, nobody gets their food stamps, nobody gets their Social Security, the mail doesn't get delivered, the military doesn't get paid, the veterans don't get their benefits. And when it comes to the government shutdowns, about 2% of any of that ends up being true. There might be some interruption in this or that. However, the timing of this story dropping, and this is a very interesting thing, because you can see the timing of this was set in motion back in January. And that is coming from the Economic Times via MSN.com here. 100,000 federal workers to resign Tuesday in largest mass departure from U.S. government under Trump administration cuts. Other headlines frame this, especially the CNN headline, 100,000 federal workers getting ready to resign as government shutdown looms. Kind of connecting these things narratively, if not just temporally. More than 100,000 federal workers will formally quit Tuesday as part of the latest wave of the Trump administration's deferred resignation program. The departures represent the largest single-year decline in civilian federal employment since the Second World War. The resignation comes as Congress faces a Tuesday deadline to authorize additional funding or trigger a government shutdown. The White House has ordered federal agencies to prepare plans for large-scale firings if partisan negotiations fail to produce a deal. So even here on the Economic Times, there's this kind of insinuation that there's 100,000 federal workers who are going to quit the government because of the government shutdown as some sort of form of protest, when the reality is that this is a result of the ongoing Doge retirement plan. Where back in, I think it was in April that it was presented, where in order to cut down on the federal sort of payroll thing every year, I believe it was any and all federal workers were given the option to retire by September 30th. Right. And I think they get 7 months pay. I think there's all sorts of benefits that came with that. And so it just so happens to be that the deadline for federal workers who want to quit their jobs and get a bunch of money and, do something else with their life or whatever comes at the exact same time as a federal government shutdown. It doesn't seem like a coincidence to me, Gons.
It just brings out such the worst parts of humanity right here. You're getting paid to, yes, you're losing your job or whatever with the government, but you are getting paid. And
they're not losing it. They're not losing it. They're quitting. Well,
that's what I'm saying. Well, that's what. Yeah, sure, okay. So, but they're still getting their money? Yes. Are they not getting their retirement?
They get their money. They get this big bonus thing from the Doge. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're getting the money and they're complaining about it on the way out. It's just, I don't know. It seems like
it's all narrative is the thing. It's a nice big narrative. You get to combine these two things: the evil, Trump administration firing everybody, and there was even a mention in one of the articles about this particular series of events, where there was a quote, I believe, from a Treasury employee union leader who was talking about, this awful situation where he's threatening to fire everybody. This is so scary. Losing your job is a big deal. And not really mentioning that these people are quitting on their own volition, taking an advantage of, a not bad deal when it comes to, quitting your job, which usually you don't get anything if you quit your job. But
so this, if it is a Doge after effect, then effectively this does tie in at some level to bringing in new kinds of software to run government. And I was just speculating it would have been an interesting thing if at some point with these government shutdowns, it'll be like COVID, where we're told 2 weeks, we're told a week, we're told something. But hey, once you get the AI spinning and running, you don't need people in there as much. So
that's the question.
We'll start asking the question: are we back? Or because everything's working, the people aren't really back, and that's when we'll know, Basil. That's when we'll know it's been taken over by AI.
Yeah, well, that'll be the interesting. I mean, keep in mind that Doge as a department did not stop. I mean, Elon Musk, his limited
public
time
campaign
as a special government employee was over after 130 days or whatever it was. But Doge as a department has been continuing this whole time, sort of quietly, installing the AI software across the government so that by September 30th, the lack of human beings, the idea would be that it would not, in fact, it would be more, what's the word? Efficient or whatever. Yeah. But we'll see how it goes. These shutdowns, they happen about every 2 years, if not every year. But Trump did make the sort of threat of, okay, this is an opportunity. This shutdown's an opportunity, all federal, departments to figure out who you can fire, who you don't need anymore. And even in the article, it says, this may or may not just be a bargaining chip. It's like, bro, literally every word that comes out of his mouth is a bargaining chip. Of course, he's trying to put pressure on the Democrats to, get his way in the federal funding bill that they're trying to do. Another CR probably, of course, is just keeping the whole system going.
Yeah, it's interesting too, and I was just looking into some stuff here. This is back from March. Doge has deployed its GSAI custom chatbot for 1,500 federal workers. This is back in March, so I'm wondering, you said who can be fired, who can't, that goes for Doge too, and maybe their chatbots or whoever's behind these AI swarms for Doge, because if they're getting all the data from their employees, 1,500 of them, they can get an idea of what they're doing, on a day-to-day basis, what kind of work they're getting done. And I don't know, Basil, I think one of these times we're just not going to have, we're just going to keep having these, not layoffs, these, I don't know, whatever, these moments where there's a quote unquote shutdown and it's just a perfect time to land the plane, to put on new wheels or whatever, new wings and refuel and the whole deal. So
yeah,
that's what I see it
the
being.
order out of chaos thing. This whole time, AI has been watching quietly inside the software systems of all these departments, training itself on the actions
to be the best
federal workers.
The best. They're going to be the best government employees ever. Can't wait.
Yep. And so, at the same time, it's a great chance for, the billionaires to come out, get ahead of things, and teach us all about the Antichrist, Gons, because
speaking of the beast system,
believe there's a Peter Thiel jingle. Maybe it's not a jingle. I have clips of Peter Thiel, which I suppose we don't necessarily need
you want
to
play
here.
a fun clip of Peter Thiel?
Sure.
So
you have
what
a
do
fun
you think
one?
about the use of artificial intelligence or lavender by the IDF in identifying Hamas targets? And secondly, do you agree with Elon Musk about that the population decline is a risk for humanity?
Look, I'm not, you know, without going into all the details, I'm not on top of all the details of what's going on in Israel because my bias is to defer to Israel. It's not for us to second guess everything, and I believe that broadly the IDF gets to decide what it wants to do, and that they're broadly in the right, and that's sort of the perspective I come back to. And if I fall into the trap of arguing you on every detailed point, I would actually be conceding the broader issue that the Middle East should be micromanaged from Cambridge. And I think that's just simply absurd. And so I'm not going to concede that point.
Actually, quite relevant for the whole Peter Thiel conversation here. So we, of course, reported a few times as his super secret private lectures were coming up on the schedule, but Peter Thiel held private lectures about the Antichrist here in San Francisco. We've been following the trend of Christianity making its way through Silicon Valley. Of course, we wish the most authentic reasoning for this and the most authentic revival of Christ in Silicon Valley. That is what we, of course, are very positive towards. We hope that is truly the case. However, it's been very interesting watching the trend over the past couple years as we've identified it, but of course it's much more prominent now more than ever. The movement towards Christianity, not just in sort of culture as a whole, but specifically in tech. Coming from a couple of weird podcasters who've been talking about technocracy and biblical prophecy since 2012, to see it just sort of manifest around us. These billionaires and tech guys have the direct surveillance data. I mean, it's Peter Thiel, Palantir, right there in the clip. He's intimately involved, talking about how, he just wants to he wants to defer to Israel, which is very interesting for any sort of American billionaire, but even more,
especially with what we're talking about today. I mean, wow.
Yeah,
the connections. That's a huge link.
To a Christian interested in biblical prophecy, so much so that he is holding his own lectures on the thing. But the Peter Thiel lectures on the Antichrist took place. I believe they're finished now. There may be a couple more. They came in 4 parts. But while there is no recording devices allowed in there, of course, there's some journalists. This is coming from the Wall Street Journal, mirrored on MSN. Says Peter Thiel wants everyone to think more about the Antichrist. Dun, dun, dun.
That can cut in 50 different ways.
Well, and it's hilarious because we know, I mean, look, he is one of the primary investors of Palantir, of the entire surveillance system. Everything that you touch on the internet has some sort of connection to Peter Thiel, especially any product or service that surveils you. It's his entire business. And so for him to say, I want you to think more about the Antichrist, what he's really saying is, my data shows me that everybody's thinking about the Antichrist. And so I'm going to align myself with that for, my absolutely not diabolical purposes. I would never have some sort of hidden diabolical agenda for that.
It would also mean that in some way, and we don't see all this, we don't understand this, Basil, but this show, you and I, we have spoken the word Antichrist or talked about the Antichrist more than your average piece of content that's out there. You know, the word
and
Antichrist
for a
doesn't
longer
come up
amount
on-
of time. Yeah,
Yeah, much
we've had a
longer
long
period of time.
to do it. 14 years, you can get a lot of Antichrist content going.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's a weight system. How much is our own words weighing into Peter Thiel's decision to even talk about this publicly?
Depending
Maybe
on-
not directly, but through the algorithms.
Look,
through the data
depending on
sets,
how far back their AI training data is, if their AI training data goes back to 2012, like we were hitting top 100 podcasts of all podcasts on Earth back then.
Oh, we were. I forgot about that.
Yes, we were
Wow.
top. We were not
We're
just
the
top 100
one-hit wonder has-beens. That's what I'm hearing.
That was a totally different world. There's,
It was a different world,
significantly less podcasts and significantly less Christian biblical prophecy podcasts. But yeah, this is back when we were getting top 100 podcasts on Earth. Of course, if the trading data goes back that far,
That sounds crazy.
we have some weighted, some weighting in the training
extra
data.
points for being early and mentioning it.
Which is around the time, I mean, back in 2012, Palantir was working exclusively for the CIA. So, and of course, the CIA is very interested in weird, biblical prophecy subcultures, as has been declassified in CIA documents. They have been very interested in that community for a long time. Same with the FBI. All right, let's get into the conversation here. Now, remember, he is a billionaire. He has all the data. He has a crystal ball, a technological, techno crystal ball to guide him in being, staying on the tip of the spear, if you will, staying ahead of literally anything, staying ahead of any cultural movement, keeping himself positioned in the most beneficial way. And I'm only saying that, I'm giving him credit by saying that, because he has access to the ungodly amount of data and surveillance that any human has ever had. And if he is not using that data to stay on top of the game, then he is stupid. So I am giving him giving him credit for the crazy resources that he has.
It's interesting, the sort of between a rock and a hard place that happens. It's just coded into this fallen world where the higher up you go and the more power you attain, it's like this strange thing where if you don't use it, there's a level of irresponsibility for not using it. Of course, using it and using it wrong as well. But man, the margin of error gets smaller and smaller when you climb that mountain. It's interesting. You're giving him credit.
I mean, you gotta give credit where credit's due. I don't think he's dumb. I don't think any billionaire is dumb necessarily. Says Peter Thiel, the billionaire investor in data, AI, defense, and weapons development technology companies, wants everyone to think more about the end of the world. Yeah, I mean,
okay. I mean, they're already kind of doing that.
He knows. He knows.
That is.
Yeah, he's again.
They just want the rest of everybody else to talk about it too.
Attempting to ingratiate himself to the already very popular subculture for about a year now.
I'm sorry, if they're trying to speak things into existence, everyone talking about it more would I don't know, it would help manifest the actual end of the world. So maybe that's
him talking about it makes everybody else talk about it. I mean, the Wall Street Journal's writing about it. But of course, as both ourselves and our longtime listeners know, being way ahead of the game does bring a lot of benefits. Number one of which allows you're already sort of acclimated to the theories, the interpretations, the many ways to look at it, the problems and issues with the mainstream ideation about, the book of Revelation, the Antichrist as a personal individual. We're very aware of these, so it's fun to spot. But again, remember, this is Peter Thiel, the most surveillance equipped man on earth, and somehow he still can't quite get it right. It has to be on purpose.
It has to be on purpose.
For about a year now, Thiel has been publicly laying out his understanding of biblical prophecies and the potential for rapid advance of technology to bring about an apocalyptic future. In a lecture Monday, he encouraged an audience to continue working towards scientific progress, whether in AI or other forms of technology. Fearing or regulating it or opposing technological progress would hasten the coming of the Antichrist, Thiel said, according to people who attended. That's right. If you fear technology, if you regulate technology, if you oppose technological process, that makes the Antichrist come faster, which coincidentally would be exactly what the Antichrist would say. A devout...
This is a point that I don't think had even been a question for people in our community or our peers, that the advancement of technology prevents the Antichrist from showing up. Is that?
No, every step of technological process brings us closer and closer to what the book of Revelation describes as the sort of global infrastructure for the beast system, for the end times system. This has always been the case, even back in the 90s, when I was like 6 years old, going to the sort of biblical prophecy services at my church. It was always, the barcodes, the mark of the beast, the RFID chips allow you to track. It's the one world government. It's the one world currency. It's all technologically focused. Of course, I'm like literally not telling anybody anything they don't know.
Right. But to say directly the opposite of that is very fascinating for him to be like, no, technology, keep progressing because that's going to prevent the Antichrist.
The only way to stop the end of the world is to progress technology past our ability to control it. A devout Christian, Thiel is expanding. You know, we also were covering over the past couple of years now, the sort of underground Christian railroad in Silicon Valley, which is now no longer underground. It's actually the popular thing to be in Silicon Valley is a Christian. A devout Christian, Thiel is expanding on a number of speeches and public interviews he has given about the Antichrist in a closed 4-part lecture series this month in San Francisco. Why is it closed? Why is it closed? I don't know. It's very strange. He wants everybody to be talking about it. You know, the exclusivity just makes people want to sneak in and get the data. The second lecture happened on Monday, and the series will end in early October. Okay, so we've got a couple more to go. He is among
what you say, because we're definitely being monitored now. Hi, Peter. How's it going?
Yeah, as if we weren't already on a list. Kind of funny how when the when the revelation, the documents came out that the FBI would send spreadsheets of YouTube videos and channels to get canceled. Right when that came out, just happens to be when we got our YouTube channels back. It's interesting. He is among a number of Silicon Valley figures who have recently spoken more openly about their faith, a contrast to the cultural milieu of the epicenter of the tech world, which is mostly secular. I don't know if they know this or not, but they're kind of actually behind the times, economic times.
Well, it's economic times here. Or
I mean, the economists are always behind.
Wall Street Journal,
the Federal Reserve, they're always behind. You know, this is how. Wall Street Journal. Okay, this is how Thiel says the end of the world might happen. Okay, listen up. According to a Wall Street Journal review of his recent lectures, existential risks will present themselves in the form of nuclear war, environmental disaster, dangerously engineered bioweapons, and even autonomous killer robots guided by artificial intelligence.
Oh my gosh, I would fall asleep. Yeah. You and I would fall asleep in the back. It would be like,
As humans race towards a last battle, the Armageddon. That's like calling it Revelations. To say the Armageddon.
The Armageddon is pretty bad.
Revelations talks about the Armageddon. Thank you, Wall Street Journal. Listen to this. As humans race toward a last battle, the Armageddon, a one-world government will form, promising peace and safety. In Thiel's reckoning, this totalitarian, authoritarian regime with real teeth and real power, interesting thing to add, okay, will be the coming of the modern-day Antichrist, a figure defined in Christian teachings as the personal opponent of God, who will appear before the world ends. That is an interesting way to describe the Antichrist. We have not even getting to the spirit of Antichrist conversation, but again, in this kind of outdated model of the Antichrist, a guy being the personal opponent of God who will appear before the world ends. Personal opponent is kind of a weird way to describe it, but okay.
They are making it personal. They're making it personal with the entire church, it appears. That's interesting.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say Joe Biden had predicted. I told you Joe Biden was right.
Armageddon's on the way.
He's been saying it for years.
It's true. Not defeatist. The point of these talks is, quote, not to be defeatists, Thiel said last October in an interview series produced by the Hoover Institutions. It's again kind of interesting. They're saying the point of these talks, the talks happening right now, is to not be defeatists, a thing Thiel said last year in October in an interview series produced by the Hoover Institution.
Yes.
Can you get any more CIA? I don't think you can. In driving people to think more about the Armageddon or the Antichrist, this hope is that human society can find a third way and avoid both outcomes. Quote, I think what's the both outcomes? They have not talked about two outcomes.
This is precisely, I covered a little bit of this. I think you were out on episode 870. I went on a long rant with Peter Thiel's Antichrist lectures at the Commonwealth Club. And then, I think this was from the Hoover Institute, the interview. We've played clips of it before too. But his point or his presentation was that the world is headed towards, he used Armageddon first in the context of the Middle East and the tensions. So we're headed towards this Armageddon, and to prevent Armageddon, we must create a one world government, which, jolly dog nugget, it's going to produce the Antichrist. And so we don't want Armageddon. We don't want the Antichrist. We want a third way, which is like a narrow way.
What a strange way to envision that. Now, as Bible-believing Christians and ones who are, spend a lot of time looking at biblical prophecy, not just Revelation, but Daniel and the others. It's presenting it as an option that can be avoided through our own power is
exactly
the most
that was
satanic thing you can say. We as humans now, and again, I remember the way he set it up before, where we will create our own one world government beast system, which will, or it will be Armageddon, we all die. He uses Armageddon to kind of say we will just nuke ourselves. It's he's not even referring to the value of
biblical
Megillah,
Armageddon, which is Jesus return. And this is the other point I went on a long rant on that episode, was Armageddon being Jesus returning for judgment, defeating the enemies of Christ, if you will. So yes, I don't understand. To want to avoid that is exactly what
what the Antichrist would want.
He would totally want. I don't want Jesus to come back because you know what it says there. He's gonna defeat me. So, but also if we try to prevent it from happening, it's gonna bring about the Antichrist. So let's find a narrow path.
And again, it's this human sort of conjured idea that Armageddon. Again, he's presenting Armageddon as us nuking ourselves, us having robots that take over us, and this very like human centered, we accidentally ended the world. He's calling that Armageddon. That's not Armageddon at all, according to the actual scriptures. Bible, luckily, not a whole lot of this is a sort of new topic for a lot of people. We have a lot of new Christians and a lot of new people and a lot of Christians who are newly getting interested in biblical prophecy in a serious way. And so if all it takes is a high level billionaire to say, yes, I'm Christian, I'm on your side, and look, Armageddon, us nuking ourselves and robots taking over, like the Bible says, it's like nobody's even read it. So they're like, oh yeah, that does sound bad. I did see Armageddon with Bruce Willis. I don't want an asteroid to come kill us all, as if it's some human creation. Armageddon is not a human creation. That is Jesus coming back. So he's literally defining.
We don't want Jesus to come back
as something, that it isn't.
As a Christian man, he's saying, don't come back, Jesus.
Using his fake definition of Armageddon to sort of convince people, that we don't want Jesus to come back. We have to avoid Jesus coming back. And this parallels an interesting trend we've seen in the mainstream media of them reporting on biblically prophetic believing Christians in our government, like Mike Huckabee, making decisions in the Middle East to hasten this war or this Armageddon, hasten the return of Christ. So, as a billionaire and one who's very involved in Israel and said himself he wants to defer to Israel, it's kind of a weird switcheroo for him to say, yes, we're going to let whatever happens in the Middle East, we're going to let it happen, except we're going to create not the bad one world government. We're going to make a good one world government so we can stop Jesus from coming back. If that's not the most antichrist thing anyone has ever said, I don't know what is.
Well, because the part that drives me wild is that if people are on to the Armageddon fact, he has a rebuttal that it's like, oh, right. The one that's going to try to prevent that. Well, that's a one world government, a world where everyone cooperates under this situation. And that is the Antichrist as people understand it. So he's got to defer that too. He's got to be like, no, but we get that, the opposite of that is the Antichrist. So I don't want that either. He wants his narrow path.
He has his own third narrow path.
Bad theology.
Has the benefits of a one world government without the Armageddon. All right, let's continue.
Right. Okay.
In driving people to think more about Armageddon or the Antichrist, this hope is that human society can find a third way and avoid both outcomes. Quote, I think the biblical language, it sounds crazier, but it's actually more hopeful, he said. Yeah, because Jesus comes back, and that's great. The AI arms race gripping Silicon Valley has prompted more spiritual reflection by many tech luminaries, including those who have called for Christian concepts to inform the advance of technology. Christian transhumanists, Christian technocrats, we've interviewed them on the show. This is something we've been on for a long time.
How come nobody asked us about that? I mean, we
they
could
don't
probably
need to.
help with that.
They just listened to the show. That's what they did.
We put it all
Pope Leo XIV has begun to speak out about the threats posed by AI, even choosing his papal name around a nod to technological revolution in the past. Yes, we've gone over that too. Quote, in the past 2 years with AI, it definitely feels like we've unleashed a more high-stakes conversation on all fronts, said Jonathan Gundlach, an ordained minister and attorney who is attending the lecture series and counts tech workers among his parishioners. Quote, there's a heightened sense of spirituality because it feels like we're dealing with a new form of being that has infinite potential. It's kind of like a god, said Gundlach. Now, we've talked about little g God, big G God. You know, you can talk about AI as a type of God. This is, you know, biblically sound, especially if you're working with a knowledge of original languages. But in the article, they did capitalize the G in this quote from this fella. I don't know if that's on the part of Wall Street Journal or if that was written in an email or something from Gundlach, but an interesting detail. He said Thiel occasionally attended a church where Gundlach was formerly a minister. Former Intel chief executive Pat Gelsinger gave a lecture this summer about his Christianity. Gary Tan, chief executive of startup incubator Y Combinator, has also hosted fireside chats discussing how religion fits in with science and technology. Elon Musk, who has extolled the virtues of Christianity in recent public remarks, quoted from a scripture in the New Testament Sunday on X. According to a review of his past lectures, Thiel draws on a theory that the Antichrist could be an individual or entity that is incredibly charismatic, but talks repeatedly about the end of the world. That he talks about the end of the world. Now, I do not know where Thiel is sort of getting his information. Have you ever heard of the Antichrist being described as a guy who talks about the end of the world a lot? Is that something that you've come in contact with?
I don't know if it specifically talks about. Yeah. Well, not initially, but I'm trying to think because it mentions the Antichrist figure speaking many times. You know, boasting, declaring himself God.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're talking about it declaring itself to be God, and this AI thing that we're building, go ahead.
It says repeatedly talking about the end of the world, a charismatic figure that talks repeatedly about the end of the world.
Right. I get that. Yeah. So
there's
nothing specific about that, but I'm
thereby convincing society to give it the power needed to regulate the existential risks from science and technology. Thiel is just literally describing himself, although we could have a conversation about how charismatic he is or isn't. But the headline of the article is Peter Thiel wants you to think about the end of the world. Peter Thiel says the Antichrist will talk about the end of the world.
And he's doing it. He's actually carrying it out.
Society to give it the power needed to regulate the existential risks from science and technology. That's exactly what Palantir wants. Asking for. He's saying, don't regulate AI. That will bring about the Antichrist. It's at least according to the Wall Street Journal.
You know what this is starting to feel himself. This is starting to feel less and less like a deep sort of actual philosophical, eschatological study on Thiel, and more of just a very well crafted marketing campaign for Palantir to justify the sucking up of power and authority.
Well, what I love about it too is, you know, they talk about it a second in here, and we'll get there. But you know, we've talked at length about this sort of obsession that can arrive to a Christian or to a church or to a body of Christians to try to identify the Antichrist. You know, who is the Antichrist? Well, Obama fits. Oh, King Charles fits. Oh, Netanyahu. Oh, it's Trump.
Right,
oh,
it's like this old kind of worn out practice of
my entire life. This has been the
lowbrow tabloid. Yes, yeah.
Well, you know, and I don't even want to like be so mean about it. There's lots of people who still, you know, apply the biblical references to Antichrist, whether it's the Antichrist or the spirit of Antichrist or an Antichrist figure, to try to, like, you know, kind of talk about world leaders and stuff like that.
Well, I just some comment on that real quick. I think with a lot of people, they're on target when it comes to the spirit of Antichrist. Less fruitful when we're trying to identify like the individual. Although I get it. It's fun conversation to have, and certainly nowadays when billionaires are bringing it up and saying that, and doing the thing they want to be done by saying the thing that they want to be done.
So where was I? What was I talking about? Okay, so identifying the Antichrist, has been a long held pastime for lots of sort of fringy Christians or skeptical or narrative questioning or just interested in eschatology, end times prophecy, stuff like that. Let me go back here. Thereby convincing society to give it the power needed to regulate the excess. As far as like finding out who the Antichrist is, I mean, Palantir would be the company who would be able to figure that out, having everybody's data, everybody's search history. They've got a profile on every human being. They know every person more than they know themselves. In the Palantir database, there's probably a folder that says like Antichrist. You could just click
I wonder if this is like a mirror on the wall moment for Peter Thiel, and he looked it up. He said, hey, based on all the data, who's the most likely to be Antichrist? And it pulled up Peter Thiel,
his own name.
Oh man, I got to do something about this. And now he's talking about the Antichrist openly and saying how the scriptures say that the charismatic figure will talk repeatedly about the end times and get people to speak about it.
Jay Kim, the lead pastor at Westgate Church in the Bay Area, who has had front row seat to the new attention to Christianity emerging in Silicon Valley, said Thiel's focus on the Antichrist is misplaced. Okay, he's getting some pushback. Quote, my best understanding is that the New Testament writers focus very little, if at all, on pointing followers of Jesus towards spending their energy on accurately identifying the Antichrist, he said. Quote, to give all your energy into thinking about all that, to me, feels like a pretty futile endeavor. All right, so we've got some, we've got some back and forth a little bit. Yes, identifying the Antichrist may not be the most important thing theologically. Thiel's speaker series is hosted by Acts 17, a San Francisco-based nonprofit co-founded by Michael Steffens, an executive at healthcare software startup. Her husband is Trey Stevens, an investor at Thiel's venture firm, Founders Fund, and co-founder of Anduril Industries, one of the few privately held tech companies to land contracts with the Defense Department. The couple does Bible study with Thiel, she said. In an interview, Michelle Stevens said she started Acts 17 in part because of the question she and her husband faced as practicing Christians working in tech. Quote, all right, so this is the question they're asking themselves. Quote, Trey was building his own tech company and really facing hostility around what he was building, why he was building unmanned defense systems with Anduril, she said. So the whole Act 17 was born out of a Christian feeling convicted about creating unmanned AI autonomous killing machines.
This is akin to the nuke, the post-nuke, I have become death poem, and all that kind of stuff.
Act
Very
17,
similar, the regret.
An acronym. Here's the acronym for Act 17. By the way, there's a bunch of Act 17 like churches, but this is this one. An acronym for, quote, acknowledging Christ in technology and society. Look, I've been a Christian my whole life. Nobody does acronyms like Christians. Christians have got acronyms on lock.
I have to agree with you.
Aims to create a community of Christians and non-Christians to talk about many topics, including religion and Jesus. Yeah, a lot of topics, including religion and Jesus. It just is coincidental. It's named after a book and chapter in the Bible. Stevens said she has faced questions on whether they are seemingly, quote, tending to the rich with Acts 17's work rather than giving back to the poor. She pushes back on that criticism, quote, Christians actually don't do a very good job of ministering to the wealthy, who can think that they're basically gods themselves, which can be very dangerous, she said. Can't argue with that. That is not the worst comeback there. A charismatic Antichrist. The twin concepts of the Armageddon and the Antichrist have been the subject of intense scrutiny and attention for generations, especially interpretations of the book of Revelation, which includes vivid imagery as it describes the conditions that lead to a final battle between good and evil. At one one recent lecture, an audience member asked Thiel if a certain world leader was the Antichrist. Thiel said the leader wasn't charismatic enough, according to Nestor Chachenko, a startup CEO who is attending the lectures. In the past, Thiel has named certain left-leaning political figures as analogs for what the Antichrist could be. I wonder who that was. I like, though, that he has like he's got the quantitative aspects of this on lock. Like there's a charisma score on your Palantir file. Like, oh, the Antichrist will have a 10 out of 10 charisma score. That
his charisma score will be 11. It shall be very charismatic.
That world leader only has a 7 on the charismatic score. So in the past, the left-leaning political figures that is mentioned here, one of them was Greta. That's how the mainstream characterized it. Was interesting.
The Antichrist figure. Yeah.
This month's lectures appear to build on Thiel's 2-hour interview with Peter Robinson, a former speechwriter for President Ronald Reagan and host of Uncommon Knowledge, a show by Stanford University's Hoover Institution. There's Stanford and Hoover again. The Hoover Institution is locked in on the Antichrist. The two discussed Thiel's sourcing for his theories. Okay, sourcing for theories. I hope the Bible is one, on Armageddon and the Antichrist, which include biblical texts like the book of Revelation and the book of Daniel, and fictional books such as Lord of the World, a dystopian science fiction novel written by a Catholic priest in 1907. I'll have to check it out. At one point in the conversation, Robinson asked Thiel why he believed in texts that much of contemporary society has ignored. Quote, "One can take it seriously without taking it completely literally," Thiel responded, which, in the eschatological realm of study, specifically, especially in the visions that appear in Ezekiel, Daniel, and the book of Revelation, yes, that has always been a theme, but always a phrase that can kind of trigger a Christian community a little bit, not taking things literally. Quote, "The Antichrist probably presents as a great humanitarian. It's redistributive. It's an extremely great philanthropist, as an effective altruist." They just straight up bring in the effective altruists into the thing.
Of course, yes.
Thiel said, quote, "And these things are not simply anti-Christian, but it is always when they get overly combined with state power that something is very wrong."
Dude, his own thing is combined with state power,
which is why we need to create our own one world government. Yes. Thiel also draws heavily from theories and personal conversations with René Girard, a French historian who taught at Stanford University. For his San Francisco lecture series, Thiel has added new sources, including Renaissance paintings from the Italian artist Luca Signorelli to Japanese comic books, also known as manga, according to people in attendance. There's the anime connection again. Quote,
"Man, he's that's like our shtick to talk about, well, not just us, there's a couple others, but using anime to talk Bible prophecy. I did that throughout the Face Like the Sun tenure, or at least, in the 2010s. Haven't done it recently, but
anime's on it.
He's still in our shtick. He's still in our shtick, Basil.
Quote, "In some sense, the apocalyptic prophecies are just a prediction of what humans are likely to do in a world in which they have ever more powerful technologies, in which there are no sacred limits on the use of these technologies," said Thiel in past talks, which I don't necessarily disagree with.
No, I can't disagree with that.
Which
shows he has an understanding of the topic at a pretty fundamental level. But then it makes the whole Armageddon, Antichrist, narrow path thing ever more curious.
Yeah.
If he doesn't understand some of this, then why is he bringing that as like his his pitch for existence. It's just
yeah, which again brings into question the idea that we could or even should somehow try to avoid the return of Jesus Christ.
Right.
It's almost like he's on that kind of recreational eschatology level, where it's almost like a form of entertainment.
It's a game.
Researching, getting into it, figuring out the details so that you can somehow avoid what has been prophesied as like the.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's very interesting. But there you go. There's a little bit from the Wall Street Journal talking about Peter Thiel and how everybody should keep an eye out for the Antichrist. And of course, the irony is probably Peter Thiel.
I know back in February of 2019, it was episode 126 of Canary Cry News Talk, Basil. It was titled AI Discovers Hybrids and Russia Unplugged. And in it, we talked about Peter Thiel, and the article was from Forbes. Remember when Jeff Bezos told Peter Thiel to develop thick skin? So even back then,
why did we cover that? What does that even mean?
It was in the context of the 4 horsemen of the technocalypse, and I think Jeff Bezos is one of those horsemen. I think we were considering perhaps Peter Thiel being another name to add to the list, but then we saw this article and thought maybe not, because he's not up for it. He doesn't have the thick skin like Jeff Bezos and the rest of the horsemen of technocalypse. So but he's come a long way. Look at him now. He's just doing lectures. He's the tip of the spear for our American technium and the birth of the not just AI civilization, but AI being, fulfilling centuries of attempts by the alchemists to achieve the golem. Here we go. It's going to control the government and us, all of our data. And Peter Thiel's figured out a way to convince all the Christians to get on board because it's going to prevent the Antichrist, but also prevent Jesus from returning. Which is, hey, the 7 mountains mandate, and it always struck me strange where their whole thing is, hey, we got to achieve these things for Jesus to return. And that was always kind of a theologically or eschatologically for me, I couldn't really find it in scripture, but this is like a whole different type of apparatus.
Yeah, it's like the opposite, the mirror image of it. It's
the mirror image, yeah.
Referenced a little earlier was, yes, there was lots of professing Christians who set up entire ministries. They're even in government and things like this. This is a large part of the talk about what's going on in Israel right now with the red heifer, the building of the third temple, where these things are sort of actively being lobbied for in governments so that they can bring about the sort of end times, either the Jewish end times where the Messiah returns, or the Christian end times where Jesus returns, and those are 2 different situations. But yeah, you have these 2 groups. On one hand, you've got kind of the traditionalist, maybe more religious, like some might even call them accelerationists, who are trying to take us step by step to the end times. And then you've got the Christian technocrats who have the gall to think that they can actually avoid the end of days.
There's some scripture, obviously, that references Jesus, or Jesus. There's a lot of scriptures that do that. The Antichrist in particular, yeah. There's a few that I wanted to run by. Some of them might be familiar to you, some not, but interesting nonetheless in the context of what we're talking about here. Daniel 8:23 through 25. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors have reached their fullness, a king shall arise having fierce features, who understands sinister schemes. His power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. He shall destroy fearfully, and shall prosper and thrive. He shall destroy the mighty, and also the holy people. I can see that up, Peter Thiel kind of ruining it for the traditional lib kind of progressive people, but also like messing it up for Christians. Through his cunning, he shall cause deceit to prosper under his rule, and he shall exalt himself in his heart. He shall destroy many in their prosperity. He shall even rise against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without human means. So that's one reference to the Antichrist that suggests, what kind of power he holds and what kind of things he'll be up to. Later in Daniel 11 now, 36 and 37, then the king shall do according to his own will. He shall exalt and magnify himself above every god. He shall speak blasphemies against the God of gods and shall prosper till the wrath has been accomplished, for what has been determined shall be done. He shall regard neither the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any god, for he shall exalt himself above them all. Now, people have interpreted, and even I have interpreted when I first came across this passage, the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, reads in English kind of like how this individual will be homosexual or, non-sexual, non-binary or something like that, where it's, or some kind of transhuman, which is what I thought, if they're not interested in women. But since then, I've done, different studies have suggested that this is more about the desire of women, meaning what women desired at that time, which was to actually birth the Messiah, be the mother of the actual Messiah. And so this individual not being that will be an indicator that, it's suggesting that this is a passage about the Antichrist, because while this person exalts himself above God and, does all these things, he is not the one that was desired by women, basically Mary. So anyway, a couple different ways to interpret that one, but interesting nonetheless, considering, Peter Thiel's personal, the way he moved, the way he swings, I guess.
Christians who were Christians, I guess, in like the 90s, early 2000s will remember the Left Behind series,
of course,
which depicts, that kind of 90s, 80s, 90s depiction of the end times, which does
the rapture.
Envision the Antichrist as like a guy in a suit, a political figure. And one thing, I don't know, I don't have a whole lot of stakes in this, but one thing that is very common is equating the Antichrist with some other figures, like the beast, in Revelation 13. So when you talk about the personification of the Antichrist, it's actually kind of bringing a bunch of different visions, a bunch of different descriptions of these end time characters. And there's a number of these end time characters, but Revelation 13 is where most people get a lot of their quote unquote, the Antichrist stuff. But, in Revelation 13, it is specifically talking about the beast. This is where you get the number of the beast. You get, I think the mark,
the image.
Right, the image
and the mark are both there. Yeah, this is where I've spent a lot of my time, investigating, studying, and seeing where things fit. And yeah, it is a very
and they worship the dragon. They worship the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worship the beast, saying, "Who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth, speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given to him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven, and that it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. The power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose name are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world." And it goes on to talk about the mark in verse 3-8, I believe, and that no man might buy or sell, save he have had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Hear his wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Dum dum dum. And so, referring to the Antichrist with the description of the beast is one extremely common sort of Christian eschatological practice, but one that is not axiomatic, one that is not necessarily, I guess, apparent or obvious.
Right. It's interchangeable in that sense. Sometimes it suggests it refers to an individual, other times to more of a system or, a kingdom. So yeah, it's intermingled, but I think and that's the fascinating thing with the advent of technology. This has been part of my commentary since Face Like the Sun, the first blog, noticing this trajectory where the advent of technology itself is causing these metaphorical, colorful descriptions of end times events to be less impossible, less mythological. And of course the Arthur C. Clarke quote that is often referenced, any advanced form of technology is indistinguishable from magic. In that context, the reenchantment, all that stuff, for the technology is bringing about a level playing field for these types of passages to quote unquote be fulfilled. It's not as difficult to understand when you have this box, this computer box,
right, that
can create all kinds of stuff, and especially if you're behind the apparatus that really has is plugged into everything. The neo God kings, as Jason P. Lowry talks about, Peter Thiel definitely being one of those people where he's got an outweighted power over the rest of the population because of his access behind certain levels of technology, software and all that. He's a neo God king, and for the potential abuses of that, he has to be aware of it. This has to be part of his, at the very least, a campaign to keep himself, or I don't know. He says he's a Christian, so I can't question his salvation. That's between him and God. But at the very least, to maintain the cultural swing and being in the positive side of that while everything becomes hyper Christianized or whatever culturally. But yeah, that's like the best hope, right? That this is like a fad, and yeah, he's he get some power or whatever, but ultimately he's just a guy, and he just had to say what he had to say because of certain things to maintain his place and whatever ranks of society, and then it'll pass, and then things will go on, and it's sad that that's the best case scenario, because the other cases are all this stuff, all the prophecies coming true, which depending on how you look at it, it's not the worst thing in the world. It just means Jesus is returning soon. So
for those
but certainly
for those who might be kind of new to actually diving into the eschatological, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but even the word Antichrist itself isn't mentioned in Revelation. Is it mentioned in Revelation anywhere? Because the
I don't
word
think so.
Right. So the book of Revelation doesn't even mention Antichrist. In fact, Antichrist was not even mentioned in the Old Testament in Ezekiel or Daniel. The phrase Antichrist comes from two places. It's used in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and 1 John chapter 2. And I think it comes up later. I think it's kind of all over John. John was, of course, the guy who wrote Revelation. It appears in 2 John once or twice.
2 John, yeah, you're right. All the Johns.
But in 2 Thessalonians, which is a conversation about the future, you can at least say it's a conversation about the future. In the letter written to the Thessalonians, also referred to as the man of lawlessness. It says, now concerning the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and our being gathered together unto him. He is writing about the second coming of Jesus, which chronologically is also described, or at least would happen in the same age as the visions in Revelation. But you got Thessalonians Second Thessalonians 2:8, which reads
the lawless one. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the lawless one will be revealed, whom the Lord. So there's a lot of talk about the lawless one in the context of the second coming of Christ. But then 1 John 2, chapter 2, let's see here, 2:18 is kind of the first one. Little children, it is the last hour, and as ye heard that Antichrist cometh, not the Antichrist, just Antichrist, even now have there arisen many antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last hour. These antichrists left our group, but they were not really a part of us, for if they had been, they would have continued to participate with us, but by their leaving us, it proved that none of them were really a part of the group after all. So he's describing antichrists, as the sort of spirit of Antichrist, a quality that someone can sort of possess, being Antichrist. Then in John, 1 John chapter 2, verse 22, who is the liar but he that denieth that Jesus is the Christ? This is the Antichrist, even he that denieth the Father and the Son. And it goes on, in further chapters to say basically the same thing. John was very concerned, or at least the writer of John, with this Antichrist word, this name, your spirit, which can be, a characteristic of, in this case, he talks about Antichrist as people who were in fellowship with the early Christians, but then left, it kind of turned their back on Christ, a sort of literal kind of Christ.
It is the story of the fallen cherub, in a sense, the leading worship cherub, and then he turned for his pride. I mean, it looks like there's a pattern there. Embedded.
Yeah. So this application of even the phrase Antichrist. Now, look, it's incredibly culturally popular. I mean, even we'll talk about the Antichrist in the context of Revelation or end times prophecy, but a lot of that is kind of just been put together both by culture and by researchers. And look, there's nothing inherently wrong with looking at the description of the beast in Revelation 13, looking at the description of antichrists in John, or 1 John rather, and being like, hey, they kind of sound similar to each other. But this idea that there is a singular man called the Antichrist is sort of a conglomeration of these ideas throughout the New Testament. It would be more sort of direct to not refer to the Antichrist as in Peter Thiel probably, but the beast. If you're talking about the guy who shows up in the end times and does these things that we credit the Antichrist with, is more directly referred to as the beast.
Yeah, well, yeah, but Revelation, specifically Revelation 13, the beast references, again, an interchangeable nature between a person and a system or kingdom. But, you put it all together, you have the 2 Thessalonians you were mentioning earlier. That's where man of sin, man of lawlessness. So there is a individual, and then a son of perdition being another description of what appears to be an individual. I suppose you can make it plural if it's son of perdition, or son. I guess it would be sons of perdition. You have the false prophet as well, which seems to be a separate individual that's
another
part of this whole thing. Right. But then in the Old Testament, you have the little horn in Daniel 7, and that often references the Antichrist, culturally speaking, Antichrist, because he's one that rises out of the 10 kings system, which is referenced in the book of Revelation. We know about the 10 kings, the 10 horns, the 10 kings, and they rule, and they're handed authority from the dragon for a short while. And what's interesting is that there's an 11th horn, a little horn, that takes out 3 of the horns and rises to power. The rest capitulate. And the end times, the actual beast system is sort of put in place there. But in Daniel 8, king of fierce countenance has been referred to as the same individual. The willful king in Daniel 11, so another king, a singular kind of individual reference. In Zechariah 11, worthless shepherd. has been translated to reference this end times individual. So yeah, there's
at least
to be
several individuals.
Yes, at least several individuals, probably one main guy for sure, but it doesn't end with that guy. It has to do with everything that this individual will represent, which again, with the advent of technology and the power that technology brings individuals, for example, Peter Thiel, kind of fits the shoe or fits the foot. What's the saying? I don't know what the English saying is.
If the shoe fits?
The shoe fits.
What's the English saying? I get it. You are trying to translate it.
I'm bad with idioms.
Japanese term.
Yeah. It's so funny. I get a lot of those mixed up in my head. I'll say some old Japanese idiom in English and it doesn't sound right. It's like, oh, I didn't realize that was that's a Japanese thing. And
that's not part of the multicultural here on the show.
Yeah.
So there you go. It would be more interesting to me if Peter Thiel was actually really giving look, I'm not actually in the room. So a lot of what he's saying in this room is being repeated by Wall Street journalists, Wall Street Journal.
I have low confidence in bringing accuracy to the situation. Yeah, the kind of people that are actually in there.
But when Peter Thiel is making such a big deal about the Antichrist, again, with the intention to gain the power to have his own utopian non-Antichrist one world government to avoid the return of Jesus Christ, you just got to look for what his actual end game is to throw the whole thing out the window. But the fact that what he is sort of repeating is this sort of non-nuanced, non-subtle, left behind series, Hollywood version of the end times. Anyone who's spent enough time truly looking into it, you can call the guy in, the beast, the Antichrist, if you like. I've heard conversations as to why, that's a fine thing to do, but it's also you have to go through several layers of interpretation, of cross-referencing, of assumption, that you got to take at least a little bit of assumptive posture to call Revelation 13 if you're calling the beast the Antichrist. Not that it isn't possible, but the fact that he's a billionaire who's doing this obviously to stay ahead of the curve. He's doing it because he has the data to show that this is the thing to do to secure his power as one of, if not at this point, the most powerful billionaire on earth, as far as straight, direct, ability at his fingertips, through Palantir, through his defense contracts, through these things. It's one thing to have a lot of money and have sort of the influence of a billionaire. It's the other thing to have the Palantir backend on your phone to AI tell you what to say next to appeal to the most amount of people, you know what I mean? There's a little bit difference there. So, that's all I got to say about that, I think.
I wonder how this will stir the conversation culturally moving forward, because a lot of this is fast tracking the conversation to happen more, and more people are aware of different things regarding, at least in America, even, around where I'm at. A lot of people know about the Nephilim. A lot of people kind of have a loose idea about the Antichrist and stuff, or the mark of the beast. They may not know the details, but they're aware of the topic. And maybe that's part of what he's trying to take advantage of to get the people's support in some way, is to take advantage of the fact that it is a culturally relevant topic, but not everybody is really diving into the scriptures to get all the nuances and, considering all the different possibilities. Because at the end of the day, there is some truth to this idea that we're wasting our time trying to figure it all out, because what was the passage where it talks about the demons would have done differently if they knew they were murdering the Messiah, basically. It's a similar type of thing. I don't think we're fully going to understand everything until it happens, and it's meant to be that way, I believe. So, although it is positive and it gets people in the word. And I never said it was a bad thing. I actually think people can be doing that, rather than other things. But yeah, I think it can be an interesting thing to watch how society actually responds to this. Is there going to be a Peter Thiel theology guy that's going to pop up and he's going to be a very popular TikToker or something? Now that, the nation state of Israel owns TikTok instead of communist China. Maybe,
Yeah, maybe. Trying to figure out who the Antichrist is very similar to trying to set a date for the rapture.
Yeah.
It's very,
I think that. It's the same practice of speculation. Yeah.
It's a way to hone your sort of skills at researching the Bible. It's a way to hone your skills as sort of, attributing the time and attention that goes. I mean, I was feeling convicted the other day by the Holy Spirit, not some sort of earthly court, but, I'm thinking about how many news articles I read every single day. It's just like, what if you read that many Bible verses? What if you read the same word count of, the Bible as you do of the news every day? And I'm like, okay, You got me there. That would be good. And the same kind of goes a little bit for, trying to figure out who the Antichrist is or set a date for Revelation. It's like not necessarily a bad thing to do, but what if you put that time and attention towards, just sort of strengthening your relationship with Jesus or leaning into the Father or whatever. There's lots of different ways to spend your time.
Sounds like mom advice right there.
Yeah, there you go.
That's some very hardcore mom advice.
Well, speaking of billionaires and Peter Thiel and the whole thing, there was a little update with Elon here.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we should talk about Elon for a moment. Elon, where are you, Elon?
Where are the aliens?
No, that's not you. Where's Elon?
Elon Musk may be the Antichrist.
Oh,
there it is.
That works for today. This is SkyNews.com with the headline here. Elon Musk and Prince Andrew named in latest Epstein files release. There's more Epstein circus going on here. Oop. I'm trying to pull up the Epstein jingle, and it's not going well. Here we go.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
The Duke of York is named as a passenger on the sex offender's private jet in documents released by Democrats, as Elon Musk says he refused to go to Epstein's island despite being invited. Elon Musk's name appeared in files relating to Jeffrey Epstein, with a reference made to the world's richest man potentially visiting the pedophile's island. The Duke of York is also named as a passenger on the sex offender's private jet in documents released by Democrats on the House Oversight Committee in the U.S. They show Musk as a potential visitor to Epstein's island, Little St. James, on 6th of December 2014, 6 years after Epstein became a listed sex offender. His name appears on what appears to be Epstein's daily schedule, with the entry reading, "Reminder, Elon Musk to island, December 6th. Is this still happening? ? And they really use the word appears twice in two different ways. That's wild. Musk issued a broad denial late Friday as he responded to another account's post on the subject on X, saying, quote, "This is false," and later added, so it's false, so that he was on there. It did happen. No, I'm just kidding. And later added that he refused to go to the island despite being asked by Epstein. In June, Musk claimed Donald Trump appeared in files related to the disgraced financier and alleged his administration was concealing information about the U.S. president's association with Epstein. He gave no evidence for the claim, which he made on X, and later appeared to have deleted the post. Then it goes into Prince Andrew. Is listed as a passenger on a flight on Epstein's jet from Teterboro, New Jersey to Palm Beach, Florida, May 12th, 2000. He's named alongside Epstein, his then-girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, who is now a convicted sex trafficker, and two names that have been redacted.
I feel like the Prince Andrew thing is they just throw it in there I don't know why. Maybe to keep the pressure on. Like Prince Andrew, nobody has any doubt about. He shows up all over the place. He's in pictures. He's basically already been convicted, at least in the court of public opinion. He's lost his royal, titles and everything. Why even bother throwing Prince Andrew into these things?
Yeah, high profile individual. Yeah, it looks like they're trying to get some more traction with or continuing to squeeze the Epstein lemon, and try to get some clicks and stuff. The names of victims and records are redacted, and the committee said it plans to release more files once they are redacted as well. Okay. Promising to release more documents once they finish redacting it is not a vote of confidence for anything that's going to matter at all.
Yeah, that's weird.
Why are we talking about this?
Okay.
Wait, the Democrats are now are they the ones with the moral high ground? Are they at least rising on the moral high ground to, be the ones, the arbiters of truth to bring out the Epstein, situation? Because that's what it seems like they're trying to do.
It's just trying to keep the heat on. I mean, it kind of shows up in Elon Musk's reaction to it. He reacts on X to a SkyNews post that says Elon Musk and Prince Andrew named. And you know what? Maybe that's why they included Prince Andrew, I think, to give credence to Elon Musk being on the list. That's what but not the list, but being in the documents, because precisely because we all know. And the Prince Andrew thing has been even basically admitted by Andrew and the royals and everything. So throwing Prince Andrew's name in there with Elon Musk gives it, a whole other feel. Like, how guilty Prince Andrew is. So
trying to build the guilty by association. Yeah.
Yeah. So Sky News has their tweet there. Then there was a fact check, not a fact check. What do they call it? Community notes. Under the Sky News, this is context needed. While both names appear, the circumstances are vastly different. And then this whole thing retweeted by Elon Musk saying, "Shame on Sky News for this utterly misleading headline. Anyone pushing this false narrative deserves complete contempt." Okay. Epstein tried to get me to go on his island, and I refused. Yet they named me even before Prince Andrew, who did visit. Yeah, there you go. They're after you, Elon. They're after you, buddy. What else you got on? I see something, but it's not showing up for me here. Page not found.
Was it the... Oh, that's... Yes. This kind of ties back into what we were talking about before with Peter Thiel a little bit. But it is in the context of Elon here, because he retweeted Erika Kirk, who said, "Go to church."
Mm-hmm.
And I know Elon's not like an open Christian. He said, what did he say? Something to the effect of like, I like what the morals of Christianity or something like that. I forget the exact phrase. But just
looks
culturally
like he
speaking,
unretweeted it. That link you have in our document 404s now.
No, I think I messed up on the actual link itself.
Oh, okay.
Because go look at it. I think I doubled it up, and so if you didn't refresh, it might still be that old.
Okay, I'll take a look.
Yeah, it looks like it's doubled up.
Oh, doubled up. Look at that.
I know. I'm fixing it now.
Oh,
there you go.
I got it.
Yep. And it's just Erika Kirk saying, "Go to church," and and the other part of this is another thing that Elon Musk retweeted. Matt Gaetz, and Matt Gaetz was retweeting Representative Anna Paulina Luna. "This is wrong at ADL. You are intentionally creating a targeted hate campaign against Christians." And of course, they have a screenshot here of the ADL Christian identity, and labeled extremism, hate, or terrorism. Which, by the way, Christian identity is the label is something that the FBI spun up. Is it not? I think the Armageddon papers from like the late 90s, they talked about Christian identity as this group of end timers that are, they're going to think at the time it was in the context of Y2K, that all Y2K is going to come. There's going to be chaos in the streets and Bible prophecy is going to be fulfilled. And I believe the label for that was Christian identity. So it's interesting that public officials are using this and then Matt Gaetz as well. And then now Elon Musk propagating this message because he retweeted Matt Gaetz, who's retweeting Representative Anna Paulina Luna, that the ADL is, openly trying to target all Christians, which again, man, it's such a messy thing because I'm not trying to defend the ADL, but also if you're looking at it specifically, the Christian identity movement itself was something that was like a, what would be more considered fringe, not terrorist, but sort of a dangerous group.
It was named by the FBI.
That was created by the FBI. That's what I'm saying. That's what
it wasn't.
Getting to that point.
It wasn't an actual group. It was just, again, one of these things from the FBI.
Right. So it's just weird how they never talk about regular people. It's always the labels and names and titles and categories that were invented by them and using it and trying to apply it in whatever way to the masses. And how many Christians are looking at this saying like, oh, anti-ADL because, they think Christian identity, which again is this group that was created by the FBI. People don't know that. They're talking about me. I'm a Christian. I'm not an extremist. I'm not a hate terrorist. And they get all fired up.
Yeah. Well, and the
hate or terrorism.
The head of the ADL has a clip rolling around just this morning where he is basically referring to Christian identity or Christianity as a virus that can like keep popping up even when somebody.
Oh yeah, is that an old clip?
I thought that was. I don't know. It's floating around today, probably because of this ADL update here. Okay, let's see here. We have some stuff in Israel, some Netanyahu. I guess it's kind of on theme here, as long as we're talking about the end of the world and ADL and Armageddon. It says Netanyahu vows to finish job in Gaza during UN speech as delegates walk out. Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to finish the job in Gaza and said that the recognition of a Palestinian state was insane as delegations walked out of his address to the United Nations. This was at the same event where Trump's escalator broke or whatever. Just days after the UK, France, Canada, Australia, and other countries broke with the United States to recognize an independent Palestinian state, Netanyahu called a two-state solution sheer madness. It's insane. We won't do it. Give the Palestinians a state 1 mile from Jerusalem after October 7 is like giving Al-Qaeda a state 1 mile from New York after September 11th. Gotta pull it out. He said now 157 of the 193 UN member states recognize Palestine as an independent state. More than 100 diplomats from more than 50 countries walked out as Netanyahu entered the hall, according to a tally by the Washington Post. I love how it's a tally.
Oh, good. It's a Washington Post reporter count. 1, 2, look at that. 3, 4. Jeez Louise.
Mark it down.
That's hilarious.
Netanyahu gave the speech the morning after Donald Trump said he would restrain Netanyahu from annexing territories in the West Bank in retaliation for the expression of support for Palestinian statehood. Quote, I will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. It's not going to happen, Trump said. Right-wing allies of Netanyahu have proposed annexing up to 82% of the West Bank, which is formerly governed by the Palestinian Authority. UK officials said that they were concerned the U.S. could endorse the move. But Netanyahu did not address the controversial plan on Friday, and his office has said he would only respond after the two meet on Monday at the White House. Targeting the UK,
right now.
France, and other countries that recognize Palestine, he said, quote, you didn't do something right. You did something wrong or horribly wrong. Not good, bad. You did bad, not good. Your quote, your disgraceful decision will encourage terrorism against Jews and other innocent people everywhere, he said. And then it goes on to some recent events in Gaza there. I wonder, let's see here. Netanyahu and Trump were meeting today. Let's see if there's anything on that yet. Man, Netanyahu is a hard word to spell.
There was a little bit here from this morning. Trump's 21-point plan to end the Gaza war and how it could unravel. And was this okay? So this was actually still anticipating the meeting. So it happened today. So it's kind of hard to get all the news on it. But let's see. Did you find anything?
People are looks like they're reposting the video of when Trump pulled out the chair for Netanyahu to sign something. they're saying it happened again, but it looks exactly the same. I don't know. Looks like the only news people are talking about is that he pulled out the chair. Cool.
Trump says he's close to Gaza peace plan after Netanyahu meeting as government shutdown looms. That's CNN 4 minutes ago. Close to Gaza peace plan. Trump's going to solve the Gaza peace situation or Gaza situation.
Yeah, there's talk.
It's always been kind of the underlying narrative there with Trump.
There's talk about an internal plan, that they had an internal plan, but that they
right, the 21-point plan, right? The 21-point plan.
No big news yet.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. It's interesting because there were some reports with suggesting that the Palestinians are seeking the assistance of the UK and other governments like the UAE, or I think I forget exactly who it was, but some of these bigger nations, wealthier nations, to help support the rebuilding of Gaza. Meanwhile, I'm sure I can't find anything specific yet, but Israel's rebuilding plan, along with probably Trump's rebuilding plan, he's talked about how he loves real estate, and this is, other than the war part, it's a great real estate situation. I'm sure they have their plans, and I'm wondering if a company like BlackRock is involved, but maybe not so much. Because,
of course they are. It's going to be all the same companies getting all the
same companies. I know. Abramovich is going to be in there. She's going to lay the red carpet for education in Gaza. It's going to be the whole thing. They're going to run back the Ukraine thing, the whole buildup of Ukraine post-war, which they talked about how they wanted to get that get going in earnest. And by the way, that stuff is happening now, right? Is it still still war? Quote unquote,
it is still war. There is still lots of fighting over there. Still lots of death. It's mainly drones now. I was came in contact with an interesting story with the Ukrainian drone sort of squadrons. Mm-hmm. They've gamified the warfare. Which, again, remember, one of the primary reasons for the war in Ukraine was they needed a live theater. I mean, all the defense companies around the world, they needed a live theater to test updated warfare, including drone warfare, other warfare as well. But they needed a live theater. Again, it's all about the Benjamins, baby. So they needed to basically beta test, live action test this new series of warfighting techniques and technologies. And of course, we saw drones were a big part of this. But on top of that, on the systems level, the Ukrainian army has gamified their drone units. So a drone unit gets points. Like you get a certain amount of points for killing a soldier, a certain amount of points for blowing up a tank.
Wow, it's like a video game or something.
Right. They gamified it. And the reason this story came up again was because they recently reset the point value. And this is how they're controlling.
There was an update to the whole ecosystem.
It's pure game theory. They're taking the theories from social media and gaming and things like that, applying it to their drone regiments, and it's affecting the behavior and the performance of the drone regiments. These might not be the exact numbers, but this is what I remember. It used to be, you kill a soldier, it's 2 points. You kill a truck, it's 6 points. You blow up missiles, it's like 50 points, right? Well, they changed the point values of things, kind of like they would on Fortnite or they will on Call of Duty or any video game. They changed the sort of point structures to
update
to change behaviors, right? Well, once they upped the kill a soldier for 2 points, now it's worth 6 points. There was like a 2,000% increase in Russian soldiers getting killed because you have this point system. And there's actually a scoreboard we could pick up. I don't actually think I want to pull it up on this computer because you're immediately on a list looking at this thing. But there's like an official Ukrainian drone squadron scoreboard. You can check the scores of the different drone regiments or whatever they're called, and they keep an ongoing scoreboard. And if your squad say you get 1,000 points a month because you killed all these things and blew up all these things.
Oh my gosh. Basil.
There's a marketplace where you get to spend those points on different equipment. You get to choose the drone.
It really is gamified.
Weapons is exactly gamified, and they're using the data from this marketplace to make decisions on the production lines, because the drone operators themselves are choosing what works best, what doesn't. They review all of it. Now they have exact numbers on which combinations of equipment the drone operators have the most success with. And so not only is the technology itself, like the defense companies themselves, getting to test, the technology that they make that gets put into the field, but they're actually getting real-time data on which equipment's working, which equipment's not working, what's getting the most points, what do the soldiers prefer, which is this incredible technocratic, definitely dystopian system. Again, remember, all this entire system is taken from social media, taken from video games being applied to warfare. So there's your 5th generation warfare kind of making its way into 6th generation. But it's you compare that to what the United States military is doing, where the United States military just gave a contract to Sig Sauer to equip standard soldier weapons, rifles, right? For the longest time, the United States military has preferred the 5.56 round, the NATO round. Another name is 223. This is your AR-15 round, the most common round in the world. This is what the sort of average ground troop uses in the United States military. Well, they're having problems because now everybody has body armor. You can buy body armor online. You can buy body armor on Amazon. Right. So they're finding all their, enemies. They're like terrorist cells, the insurgencies, just their regular run-of-the-mill enemies that they're fighting now all have body armor. Well, 5.56 isn't great at piercing body armor. You can buy any rifle plate that's rated for 5.56 just, again, on the internet. So the military said, oh, well, everybody has body armor now. We need to give all our regular soldiers bigger guns. We need to figure this out. And so the contract went to Sig Sauer, and they created a rifle called the Spear. And it's a beautiful rifle. If anybody's seen it, it's like the coolest, most like video game Fortnite looking rifle. It's gorgeous. And it shoots 7.62 by 51. It's the larger NATO round. I'm sorry, it doesn't shoot 7.62. The sort of commercial version, the one you can buy is 7.62. Shoot, I forget what it's called. They invented this basically new round nobody was using. So it's this new round, this new rifle. Sig Sauer spent, all the money in the world to make it. They started mass producing it, and they're deploying it in the army. Well, they spent all this money and all this research and all this everything, basically invented a new round just because they want to pierce armor. Well, the rifle absolutely sucks. It's heavy. It kicks like a mule. The long-time veterans are like reviewing this rifle and going through and be like, there's no way I would carry this out in the field. But the money's already spent. It's already deployed. It's already out there. Now you're going to have, this bunch of soldiers carrying a rifle that's too heavy, that has too much recoil, and they're having a huge problem hitting anything with it. And you compare that, like American, you could almost call it like the like Nepo, not a kleptocracy, but whatever. This American system of bureaucracy and building something that nobody wants, and then changing your whole system to make everybody use it, and nobody likes it, it's not effective, but you're billions of dollars in the hole and you've wasted years of everybody's time or whatever, versus this video game system that the Ukrainian military employs, where they're absolutely progressing the technology at an unimaginable rate, and things that don't work, they're gone in a week. You know, they didn't spend billions of dollars. Hyper efficient.
And it's like Ender's Game. It's straight up Ender's Game. The only thing worse that I can think of, and maybe this already exists, but if there's already leaderboards on all these people and how they're doing, the only thing left are the prediction markets, the gambling markets.
Yes, absolutely.
Monetize these people and gamify the whole thing. Can you imagine? This is a great idea for the military-industrial complex. You can give us a check one day, folks who are listening out there. You know, make a prediction market. You make a whole system where you are betting on certain individuals, soldiers, squadrons, whatever you want, to do well out in the battlefield. And of course you want them to survive, but man, what a cold world that would be, huh? People putting their money down on people and in different military situations. But it would be way more transparent in a sense. You know, hey, you're supporting the American military. We are the largest, most powerful military. Now you can be on the front lines with us, you know, put your money where your mouth is and sort of live out the whole sports kind of experience, but virtually through real boots on the ground soldiers in real hostile situations, or drones or drone units, even better, because then it's less human collateral. Ideally, I guess it's headed in that direction. Maybe they won't do the prediction markets until they really get the robots and the drones to fully deploy, and so there's less human casualty. But that's where it's all headed. That's where it's all headed. And I'm sure the military-industrial complex would love it because they'll get people betting on it. So you get to create an industry, an economic industry, but also you get unwavering support from people. Okay, they'll be much more invested in the military of the United States government. So
for the gun people who are annoyed that I didn't remember the caliber, it's the 277 Sig Fury. So it's a proprietary Sig Sauer caliber. So I mean, talk about the money on this. Not only did they create an entirely new weapons platform from scratch that's too big, too loud, hurts too bad, but they invented their own caliber of bullet for it, because that's really where the money is. You know, you can make, you know, 500,000 rifles and as a one-time cost, but it's the proprietary bullets that, you know, that's where you get your ongoing billions for generations to come. The 277 Sig Fury.
Well, I got a quick thing here before we call it here.
Nephilim update.
This is coming from Nanatsu no Taizai, which means the 7 deadly sins. Wikipedia. Do you know about the 7 deadly sins, Basil? The alleged
not an anime context
game, whatever this is. There's a whole segment titled Nephilim. And, you know, we kind of have fun with this, but also, you know, I usually go through these and I don't share like 99% of them because it's just kind of either things we already know or it's just kind of whatever. This one, I thought it just perked my brain differently. I thought I'd share it. It says here, the Nephilim are hybrid beings resulting from the natural union. It says natural. It's a natural union between a goddess and a demon. Tristan Linus is the only known case. There's only one Nephilim. He's over here, his anime-looking character. He's got like one gold, amber-looking eye, other eye's purple. He's got gray hair. Looks super anime. And it says your overview. Because of the long millennia of rivalry between the goddess and demon clans, the simple conception of the Nephilim constitutes an extremely rare phenomenon and would even be seen today as an aberration by certain demons who would not have given up their contempt for the goddess clan and its allies. Appearance and physiology. Following Tristan's case, the Nephilim can have an appearance identical to that of humans, which allows them to live quite easily among them. Makes you wonder, right, how long the Nephilim might have been around here. When he uses light magic, his eyes turn orange with a golden Triskelion-shaped pupil, and can extend or retract one or more pairs of ethereal white feathered wings. On the other hand, when he uses dark magic, dark marks appears on their face, and also his eyes become black and the feathers of their wings when they are in the grip of strong emotions. Powers and abilities. The Nephilim can use the light magic of the goddess clan as well as the dark magic of the demon clan, and can manifest the two magics together separately or simultaneously, which allows them to use, quote, radical magical powers. Ark, or Aku, literally meaning holy chest. As a descendant of the goddesses, the Nephilim are able to generate and manipulate divine light in the form of particles capable of disintegrating anything they touch, which is particularly effective in countering dark magic of demons or vampires, but not chaotic magic. Basil, the Nephilim, they can handle light, they can handle dark, but they can't handle the chaos magic.
Whoa, bro.
Maybe Trump's in there with his chaos magic to restore some order, because the Nephilim are running wild with their light magic and dark magic, and you know it's hyper left, it's hyper right, but you know, you bring in the chaos magician, you can really stir things up, and apparently they don't have the power to slow down chaos magic. So it made me think of maybe like the Nephilim politics that I don't know if there's any tangible type of evidence for this other than, you know, you start getting into the reptilian conversation or whatever with different anecdotal stories and reports of encounters and things. You can get into Dr. David Jacobs' research, where he's interviewed a bunch of victims of alien abduction and how they all carry a similar story of some kind of mating situation and then holding a child that they are told is theirs, but it's not quite human, things of that nature. So we know that type of potential exists, especially rooted in the scriptures in Genesis 6 and what happened with the Nephilim and the Bnei Elohim and the daughters of Adam. So it's this repeating narrative over and over and over again. But I wonder how much of it, anime has always been a place for esoteric topics to be instilled. The best animes ever all retell old esoteric stories or mythologies. Many of them do. There's a few of them that actually reference biblical type of stuff. I'm really wondering which ones Peter Thiel referenced in his discussion. If he discussed anime, what anime did he talk about?
Right.
That would really give it away, you know? But here's just another example of Nephilim in anime, and seems to have all of the traits that would explain a real presence of the Nephilim in our world today. So, you know, it's really easy to be like, it's just a thing. That's in the anime, you know, it's just a cartoon. It's not really serious. Precisely what reality might be, Basil. And the Bible seems to lean in that direction anyway, right? All this weird stuff going on. So on top of all this Antichrist, beast, man of sin talk, is the strange phenomenon in Genesis 6, still reverberating in 2025 and beyond. So it's only going to get weirder.
You know, we have some things breaking right now. It is, let me say, it is Alex Jones level breaking. Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
I have not been able to actually watch the video, but I was just doing some silent research. The links are right below our thing there. That the X post from Alex Jones says, breaking: Tyler Robinson confirmed to be in a CIA advanced program for college students, the Center for Anticipatory Intelligence, as his defense considers waiving the preliminary hearing. Quote, if his lawyers waive preliminary hearing, then I would say that Tyler Robinson is an MK Ultra style program. I just did a little search for the Center for Anticipatory Intelligence, and it is a Center for Anticipatory Intelligence at Utah State University.
That is interesting. Yeah.
Nation's first. What is anticipatory intelligence? Anticipatory intelligence is a multi-domain approach to anticipating threats and opportunities emerging from the world's increasingly complex security environment. The goal of anticipatory intelligence is to reduce uncertainty and design resilience across future scenarios. Nation's first master of anticipatory intelligence. The master of anticipatory intelligence is a fun word to say, is a nationally path-breaking professional degree program that uniquely prepares students from science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM, social science, and other disciplinary backgrounds to anticipate and successfully navigate complex emergent security challenges across a wide range of fields and industry. The MIA is the nation's first graduate degree in the field of anticipatory intelligence, responding to a significant upswell in labor market demand across the U.S. public and private sectors for security-focused graduates and professionals from a wide range of disciplinary backgrounds who possess advanced training in both hard and soft skills, security thinking, OneSec structured toolkits for system-level threat assessments and resilience design, and sophistication in interdisciplinary analysis and synthesis. This is the longest sentence anybody's ever written. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
I'm in the Master of Anticipatory Intelligence page, the MAI, MAI. And at the bottom here, it says, the Master of Anticipatory Intelligence program is a 33 credit professional degree.
Ah, perfect. Okay.
Bro,
so
why? Like every single time, it's like inescapable. They can't help themselves.
Yeah. Well, if Tyler Robinson was in this Center for Anticipatory Intelligence, that would make sense. I have not heard anything about his education. Utah State University. Let's see. Tyler Robinson, Utah State University. Let's see here. Yeah. Attended Utah State University before dropping out and enrolling in electrical apprenticeship program. Couldn't take the heat. Couldn't take the heat for the anticipatory intelligence master.
So this is an individual that went through the process that they lost control of, quote unquote. They lost one, and he went haywire. He spun out of control, and
the programming
went into directions they were not anticipating.
Or it worked exactly
how funny would it be? The master anticipatory intelligence did not anticipate this individual,
or maybe they did.
Maybe they did. Maybe they, maybe they are the ones that anticipated the whole thing.
So update here, looks like he's showing up to court today virtually. He has a new legal counsel. Will decide whether they want to go to preliminary hearing, where the judge will determine if there's enough evidence against him to go forward with a trial. Prosecutors have charged him. Yeah, we know. The Utah court system gives people accused of crimes an option to waive their legal right to a preliminary hearing and instead schedule an arraignment where they can enter a plea. Catherine Nestor, the lead attorney appointed to represent Robinson, declined to comment. Okay. Yeah. All right. Apparently it's going to court today virtually. We'll see how that turns out.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, Guns, I think, I'm happy to say that we are on the value for value model, and it's great. Keeps the show going. We don't have to hitch ourselves to the wagon of social engineering, of mind control of any kinds, in the form of advertising, sponsorships, nothing, baby. We're totally off the leash, and that's only because of the participation of our producers in the value for value system. I think we should thank some producers here. What do you think?
That sounds like a great idea.
Okay, let's do it. It is the value for value system, folks. Go to canarycry.support if you want to learn more all about it. Here's the thing. In today's world, there is, story after story after story about how online influencers, conservatives especially, there's another Sodagate recently where all these quote unquote conservative influencers and podcasters and stuff got caught being paid to just spread messages that were not in alignment with the people who they claim to sort of create stuff for. But we stay away from advertising, sponsorships, anything that would put us in financial I guess, what's the word? Make us financially liable to change our message or to skip anything, or, you get the point. Dependent, right? Financially dependent on corporation. You got all these alternative what are they? They love to say they're independent media, and they're independent media getting paid by the exact same companies who pay for the dependent media. So I'm not exactly sure who they're independent from, but not here. We are entirely independent. We are only dependent on God and, of course, our producers, and that's you. Okay, the show's always for free. It's going to always be free, and if it brings any value to your life, I mean, this is for deep thinkers. Okay, this is for people who really understand what's going on in this illusory beast system world that we live in. But for those who understand that we are responsible for the value that exists in our life, they know that with a show like this, if value doesn't come back in to support the program goes away, and then boom, it's gone forever. And that's very sad. But today is not that day, because we have some producers coming in with their time, their talent, their treasure, whatever it is that God's given you, to make sure that his work keeps going on in this world. You can get involved, help us out with back-end processes, help us out with campaigns and projects. Whatever your skills are, they can be applied. You can use your talent, create music, create art, create images, whatever it is that God's creativity has led you to make in this world. You can do it for the show. And if all else fails, you can support us financially. It was, boy, oh boy, has it been a schlump. We talk about the summer slump, the fall slump, the winter slump, and the spring slump. This is just slumps all around. But, the wonderful thing about our producers is, when the word goes out that things are getting dire, they show up and they make the show happen. So thank you to all our producers. I want to start by a big old thank you. And just so all the monthly producers know this, thank you to the monthly producers. When we come out, we make a comment about producership. Don't worry. If you're a monthly producer, you're not included in that. Okay. In fact, I highly recommend, if anybody is not a monthly producer, they should just do that. It's a great way to set it, forget it, make a commitment to keep the value in your life, not only in your own life, but in the lives of everybody else. Just go to canarycry.support, or look, folks, we got some fun stuff coming up in the supply drop. You're going to want to go. If you've ever thought about it, now is the time, because we got some big things in the works for the supply drop. Go to canarycrysupplydrop.com, sign up there, and you'll support the show on a monthly basis, which keeps your favorite podcast going. But then every quarter, we'll send you a package filled with stuff that you won't get anywhere else. The Canary Cry calendar is coming up for the fourth quarter, so you're going to want to go sign up as soon as you can before it's too late at canarycrysupplydrop.com. But we do have some executive producers, Gons, coming in, saving the day. Let's thank them. What do you say?
Let's do it. Ready.
Let's start out with executive producer Dame Sarah of the Shadows comes in.
Dame Sarah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dame Sarah comes in for a nice round number. Says, set your mind on things above. Amen. Thank you, Dame
Amen
Sarah.
to that. Amen. Thank you.
And Dame Sarah comes in for a nice round number on the 10 or the 5, which communicates to us that you prefer not to share the amount on the show. If you don't mind us sharing the amount on the show, make it a funky number. Put 33 cents on there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 77 cents, but it's just something fun. That's you saying, hey, I don't mind if you read it on the show. Like Sir Alex Protocol V2 Baron of the Breen Protocol. Comes in for $100 and 33 cents. There we go. Thank you, Sir Alex Protocol. He's on a 428 episode streak and an 82 episode executive producer streak. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you.
Executive producer Jinja comes in.
Jinja.
Yeah, and executive producer Jinja actually came in twice. She came in back on the 25th, which was Thursday, and then again for today. So I'll credit her with an executive producership for Canary Cry Clubhouse, which was on that Thursday. So she's on a
Nice.
2-episode streak.
There we
Sorry,
go.
executive streak.
Oh, executive streak.
Yeah.
She's on a streak.
Of course, we've got Sir Jamie, not the Lannister, coming in for his weekly tithe. Thank you very much, Sir Jamie.
Sir Jamie, thank you so much.
And we have executive producer Ostrich Butter came in.
Ostrich Butter.
Thank you very much, Ostrich Butter. See him in the chat all the time. Has a little note that says, I have a little extra. God is good. God bless y'all. I know you will, but stay up. It's finna get lit. I've been hearing you guys call it for years and tell people when I can about Canary Cry. Keep it up. Much love, Ostrich Butter. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good to see you. Appreciate you.
That's the thing. You stick around long enough and you become just as astounded as we are about how much of this stuff we call. That concludes our list of financial producers. I'm sorry, executive producers coming in for $100 or more for this episode. Thankfully, we had some people come in under that amount. Thank you very much. Of course, we had Cage Rattler Coffee. Come on, go to CageRattlerCoffee.com. Use the code Coffee Day because it is National Coffee Day. So use the code Coffee Day to get a discount over there at Cage Rattler Coffee. Do it now.
Where's my coffee jingle? How come it didn't pull up? It's supposed to pull up the coffee jingle.
Oh no!
Here we go.
Cage Rattler Coffee, where value for value never tasted so good.
All right, next up we've got producer Robert S. comes in for $33.33. Thank you, Robert S.
Robert S. Thank you. That is Illuminati status.
Let's see. Let me just double check. Did Robert S. send a note? He says, appreciate you both. Thank you very much, Robert S. Appreciate
you very much,
you,
Robert S.
We have Sir Colin Anderson, Hobo of the Americas, coming in for $23.32.
There we go. Thank you.
And he's on a 44 episode streak.
Hey.
Next up, we got Sir Darren, Night of the Hungry Panda, coming in for $11.11.
Sir Darren.
Yeah, thank you for that. Sir Darren, the man, the myth, the legend. He has a note here. Says, times are tough. Digital ID is here. Oh, yeah, that's right. The UK just announced, Keir Starmer just announced digital ID, mandatory, voluntary. If you don't want
mandatory, voluntary.
If you don't want immigrants flooding the country and burning it down, then you need digital ID. There's nothing else you can do about it.
He used the great Hegelian dialectic that's been the setup all along with all this open border stuff happening over there in the UK.
The Hegelian
so
dialectic
they actually
strikes again. They also, just a little Euro news, the European Union is going to require Americans to scan their fingerprints every time they fly to Europe. You can't enter the EU without scanning your fingerprints. So that's cool. Next up, we got Dame Frog. Dame Frog is here.
Thank you.
Comes in for a nice round number. Says, God bless your beloved samurai and Emu King, Dame Frog.
Ooh, Emu King. I like that.
I am Emu King.
Basil the Emu King.
Let's see here. We've got, oh, you know what? Oh, no, I did right. Okay, never mind. We got Malik. Malik's here.
Malik. Oh, thank you, Malik.
Thank you very much. Malik comes in for a nice round number. Didn't see a note, but we're praying for you still, Malik. Thank you, buddy. Okay, that concludes the list of financial producers who came in to support this show. Thank you very much. It's been a rough couple of weeks, but you know, it's always heartwarming to see if we're just transparent and honest about the situation over here, that producers come in and make sure that the show can keep going. Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
We're going to thank our streakers on Wednesday, coming in under $7.77. Thank you very much, streakers. I know I said we'll do it Monday, but we'll do it Wednesday, so we don't have to do it twice. But I got your streaks. You're on a streak. Did you prepare any of the art for today?
Oh,
I know we didn't do it
think I
before the
did.
show, so I don't know if you
Yeah.
did any. We
I
we
did
were
not. I do
we got
see.
started a little late. It was a little bit
I
of a
know
rush.
there's a lot of stuff. I
We've
see
got a
Marty B
couple.
come in. Arnie
Yes,
W come in with stuff. Yeah, I see it there.
we got it. We got the
Um,
stuff. We got some great tunes to play for y'all on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Just a reminder, because this is another way to put value back into the shows with your talent. If you want to get your talent to us so we see it and it makes it on the show, best thing to do is go to canarycry.art. It's a URL. Use it. Canarycry.art. You can upload your files there. You can upload your music files, your video files, your image files, whatever it is. If you want to send it to us to be on the show, go to canarycry.art. You'll fill out a couple questions there and then upload it. Thank you very much. And we'll do some more art on Wednesday. But of course, we've got some producers that come in, help us with their time, and like the time stampers.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
It is very hard work. And I believe there was no one who did the last episode. It still looks incomplete, but that's okay.
There's a glitch in the matrix. Thank you, time stampers, for everything you do. We got Jam, who's the leader of the Telegram. We got Adam42, who admins the Discord channel. If you're a Telegram or a Discord person or want to be, go join the other Canarians over there at Discord and Telegram. You can find those invite links at canarycry.party. While I'm at it, big old thank you to everybody who joined the Canary Cry text message alert system. We haven't been pitching this lately. We need to make sure to pitch it. But here's the thing. If you want to make sure that you know when we go live, if you don't want to rely on YouTube for the notifications or Rumble or whatever, YouTube just straight up tells us. We send notifications to about 2% of your followers. So we're like, okay, well, thanks for nothing, I guess. Or I guess maybe thank you, 2%. We thank YouTube 2% for letting people know we go live. But if you want to get connected, here's the thing. You cannot rely on the platforms, cannot rely on the institutions that have the ability and have shown the history to want to keep you away from messages that they don't want you to have. So here's what you're going to do. Take out your phone, open up the text messages thing, and text the word canary to 877-740-3226. Again, just the word canary to 877-740-3226. You can't text anything else. It's an automated system. If you want to get on the list, you got to text canary. And you'll get on a text message alert system. We will send you a text message before we go live a couple times a week. But the fun part is you can text us back at that number. I can't carry on a conversation with you because it's very expensive, but I read them and lots of people send stuff to us. Let's see here. Regarding the Michigan guy, let's see here. Caretaker Dan texted and said, all the medals the shooter had are basic medals everyone gets if you serve your full commitment. Okay, that's good information, actually. Yeah. It makes it sound like a decorated war hero, but sounds like you just get it for not quitting. He also said Trump signed the Genius Act. He said eternal peace. Okay, we'll take a look at that, the Genius Act. 269 says, y'all rock. Hope the live show goes smooth enough, is enjoyable. Would appreciate any Tucker or BB gun Netanyahu impersonations if y'all are feeling it. Thanks. There's my Tucker laugh. You do your Netanyahu.
Just come to Israel. Just come to Israel, Tucker.
We
will befriend you.
You
will have many friends.
did not brag to the whole world that I am in control.
We're getting in such trouble. This is we got psyoped into getting in trouble. Now the AIs are going to say, "Oh, they made fun of BB."
612 says, "Have a great show." The real Tim P. Thank you, Tim Pool. 661 says, taking a shot of Kool-Aid every time Basil says locked in. Get locked in. Kool-Aid.
I like this listen along drinking game, but let's lay low on the alcohol because
907,
whatever the word is,
you can drink the Cage Rattler coffee. 907 says, are you guys doing the art section of the show today? No, we're not, but we will on Wednesday. Thank you, 907. Let's see. 817 says pretty auroras this morning early. Great gallery at spaceweather.com. Great. Thank you.
I did see Elon's rocket yesterday. It's been a while. It's been a couple of years since I saw the rocket, but I saw the whole thing, the big plume and a couple different bright orbs following it and stuff, the whole spiel.
Great. Ashton Forbes is going to love that. 580 says, I so wish I could give more, my guys. We are struggling friends. Doing the monthly as a supply dropper is all we can do currently. You are both extremely valuable to my family. Please just know that. Thank you, 580. But just know, if you're a supply dropper, you're good, y'all. You're good if you're a supply dropper.
Yeah.
In fact, I'd recommend other people join the supply drop so that that all the pleas don't apply to you. So thank you, 580. Yeah, we're all hurting out here. We understand. But that's one of the great things that believers have that others don't, because of course the communists would love to force everybody to give money to support random people across the world. Whereas the church, the early church, the middle church, and the late church believers have always been good at coming together and supporting one another in all sorts of great ways. It's one of the ways that they will recognize us, by our love for one another. So Thank you, everybody. 702 sent a meme. Says pink hairs and blue hairs and every demographic buying boomsticks at our store lately. Yeah, that is, yes. Lots of the pink hairs and the blue hairs are getting in on the Second Amendment. They are serious. They are freaked out, dude. I got into a bit of a scrolly hole where all the pink hairs and the blue hairs, they are like more off the reservation than like the tinfoil hatters
characterized. Yeah, for the other side.
The way the tinfoil hatters for many, many years, would talk about martial law and all just FEMA camps, the guillotines, that stuff. The pink and blue hairs are that times like 10. They are
I was going to say
out. They are being manipulated in ways that are really outrageous.
Boomsticks in the hands of them seem much more dangerous than in the hands of people that are fighting for the Second Amendment.
Well, that's what I say. There's a difference. The conservative, coyote hole punch enjoyers, they're taking classes. There's very serious.
They're learning a responsibility. There's a reverence for the weapon. Yeah.
Respect to the tool. Respect the rights. There's it's a very somber thing. The left doesn't really understand that. They'll talk about how we love our guns. Look at us. We're conservatives. And then you actually get around a group of gun guys. They're like the most careful, cautious, sober, like serious people in the world are like responsible gun owners. But running out and being told on the internet that everybody wants to kill you because of whatever your hair color choice or something, there is some serious manipulation going on there. But the NRA is defending it. And I'm not even going to say every one of those is totally, shouldn't be allowed to do that. I think every American should be allowed to do it, but we also need to be somber and serious about the responsibility that comes with that. Your rights come with responsibilities. But yeah, there's a lot of that going on. Okay, what was I doing? Text messages. That's it. Thank you for everybody who texted in. Appreciate that. 717. Oh, this is Poco Joe says, thinking a lot about the discipleship phase of Canary Cry. We'll be praying about this. Jesus only had 12 close. Thinking we can make a big impact as a community. Glad you guys didn't sell out to the clicks. Proud to be a Canarian. Yes, I'm singing that. Well, I'm proud to be a Canarian. Thank you, Poco Joe. All right, there you go. Text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. Everybody do it now. Thank you to Joe for all your feedback. Thank you to Clank for all the clanking. Thank you, Sir Ike, for everything you do. And other than that, share the show, folks. We're doing it. We're sharing the show. It's about time. The time is now. Share it now. Share it with anybody in your life. Don't even tell them. Just send them a link and say, think you'd like this. Wink. And then just let it roll. Just see what happens, folks. It's very important. Share the show. And other than that, we call it rattling cages. All you got to do is walk right up to them, grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
Oh no, I was ready and now I'm not. Here we go.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Guns, you got any last words?
I did. I forgot what it was, though.
Okay.
I had it about 5 minutes ago. It's gone.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm sorry, everybody.
We'll do more words on Wednesday, folks. We got a show coming up on Wednesday. We got Clubhouse on Thursday. Tune in, stay connected. And until then, stay connected with one another as well. Join some part of the community. Stay close with your fellow Canarians, folks, because it's getting wild out there. And that's it. That's what we got for today. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Countdown to 888.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Little guy. Little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati. Armageddon's on the way.
Can I tell you a sort of a twisted pleasure that I have?
It's okay. No.
Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap.
It takes time. A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Hey, you gotta clean this out. It's like, a lint catcher. It's a great reset. A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Hey, you gotta clean this out. A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
I love peeling off that big old lint trap, rolling it into a ball, peeling off that big old lint trap. Just like throwing it in the trash, really. Should I be saving this?
No.
You could knit it into a scarf or something?
No.
Surely. It's very soft.
No.
This would make really good fire starter. You are a weird prepper. Hoarder. Like a weird guy, man. Weird prepper. Not normal, like a weird guy, man. Clearing out that lint trap.
No.
Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. That lint trap. I know it's gross, folks.
A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Hey, you gotta clean this out. It's like, a lint catcher. It's a great reset. A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Hey, you gotta clean this out. A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Doesn't work.
I am constantly having to remind myself to wear a pink shirt for the show. Constantly having to remind myself, save the dryer lint, use it as fire starter, knit a scarf, save the dryer lint. Don't even get me started on bidets, man. Bidets, man. Bidets, man. I'm telling you, you were living the life, man. Bidets, man.
Value for value. We take no money from corporations, commies, or cartels.